Ace of Diamonds is the best sports anime. It's better than Kuroko, better than Chihaya Furu, better than Yuri on Ice, better than Haikyuu, better than Ping Pong the animation. Okay, I can't really say that since I haven't actually seen Ping Pong yet, but I'm sure it is a strong contender. The only sports anime I'd say stands a chance against Ace of Diamond might be Free Eternal Summer, and then only due to its much shorter run and completely different nature regarding dramatic structure. For while Free Eternal Summer is more about the anxieties of growing up, Ace of Diamond is all about baseball. Now, I like all of the aforementioned shows, and they have each played a part in bringing this genre closer to the mainstream stage. Sports anime seem to become more popular with every new season. However, Ace of Diamonds somehow went fairly unnoticed by the majority of the community during its run from 2013 to 2016. And that's a damn shame because this anime is exceptional. Its 2 seasons of 75 and 51 episodes play an important role in distinguishing it from the sea of other sports anime. In contrast to others, Ace of Diamond doesn't start its first tournament arc until episode 21, which is where others are usually preparing to climax. Okay, 126 episodes seem like a big commitment at first. Even I was intimidated by the sheer length of the show, but it works in its story's favor because this allows almost a full 2 course just to get to know the characters and the rules of the sport they're playing. Not having enough time to get into a show has been a gripe of mine in sports anime, and a big reason why I often don't enjoy first seasons as much as later ones. In shows like Haikyuu and Kuroko no Basket, a team is usually put together in the first few episodes or first half of the season and jumps straight into the action of a tournament. And if you are there for the action, you might appreciate this, but more often than not, I find it difficult to care about the stakes because I've not had enough time to learn about the characters. These teams are just starting out and learning about each other themselves, and it slightly breaks my suspension of disbelief when they suddenly start winning and improving in the span of a few games. The 20 or so first episodes in Ace of Diamond focus instead on introducing the characters' motivations, strengths, and weaknesses. They train for weeks, even months, honing their skills and trying to make the first string team so that they can actually play in the games. In a show with this many characters, it feels necessary to dedicate so much time to reveal their skills, relationships, and personal reasons for playing. With some incredibly sweet and funny interactions, I found myself at the end of the arc thinking I wouldn't mind watching more quote-unquote filler episodes. While it was a craving for action that made me pick up the show in the first place, watching the characters training together was so enjoyable that I no longer felt the need for confrontation with other teams. Showing the characters' relentless devotion and harsh training sessions for weeks on end also contributes to building overall tension. After having seen them train so hard for so long, a single loss will be even more gutting for us and them alike. Additionally, a slow start allows for the rules of baseball to be explained gradually and in proper detail, without having anything at stake. I still struggle to understand a lot of the other sports I've seen in anime because rules are often rushed through in favor of getting the games started. Ace of Diamond's protagonist, Sawamura Ejun, is loud and energetic and seems like a whole lot of talk and not so much play. He has potential as a pitcher, but he's not immediately placed in first string. In fact, due to his oversleeping on the first day, he's not even allowed to join the team. Thus, he has to work harder than everyone else way before the competitive season starts, just to prove himself to the coach and players. It takes him a long time to develop the skills he needs to play, and when he does get to join as a regular member, there's another path ahead to earn his position as a starter. In similar anime, we can easily spend the entire run of the series learning who all the characters are. In several other shows, it was only by the end of their second seasons that I started grasping minor personalities like team captains and key side players. Whereas in Ace of Diamond, we know who the characters are from their first introduction introduction. Everyone has identifiable character traits, making it much easier to follow the plot progression. That's not to say that they are one-dimensional, because nothing would be further from the truth. But in having clear personalities from the get-go, the show focuses more on showing their development and growth rather than spending 2 full seasons in just getting to know them. Supplementary information on their personalities is scattered across the anime to round them out further. For example, Sawamura is one loudmouth and an annoying person, but he reevaluates his pitching again and again to try and expand his repertoire. He's always pushing himself to improve. His enthusiasm comes across as obnoxious, but as we progress through the series, we see how contagious his attitude really is. While in the beginning, no one can stand him, towards the end, everyone appreciates his cheerful shouting, and are even thrown off themselves when Sawamura goes through a down phase. Despite being a brat spouting nonsense on a daily basis, his positive nature makes him incredibly likable from episode 1. On the other hand, we have Furuya Satoru, who is Sawamura's teammate and rival. Furuya is a strong pitcher, perhaps one of the best, but he suffers from tunnel vision and a lack of stamina. This gives him an obstacle to work through, and we see these in almost every other character on the team. Even minor characters are fleshed out, like Azuma from episode 2, who looks down on Sawamura until he's beaten in a pitching fight. At first, Azuma comes off as comically villainous, and it would be easy to play him off as that overweight mean kid, but later when he visits Seido after having graduated, we notice how happy the other team members are to see him. They really look up to him and respect him, and despite being a bully, he offers friendly advice to the first years. Everyone has flaws in this anime, everyone tries to deal with them. Tanba, the ace, has low confidence, Captain Yuki is shy, Ryosuke tries to play with a swollen leg, and Kuramochi doesn't know whether to tell the coach or not. Even Mr. Perfect doesn't know how to cheer up Kawakami in late season 1, or why he should. Another thing this anime does excellently is portray the relationships between characters. There are clear starting points and developments among the team members, which is showcased through a variety of different activities. While Sawamura and Furuya are rivals, they end up doing everything together, like running, pitching, eating, and getting drinks. Sawamura is hellbent on surpassing his nemesis, but recognizes that they both share the same goal of going to nationals. Their loyalty to the team is never afflicted by their discord, and there are times when Sawamura cheers Furuya on from the bench. Likewise, there's a clear evolution in the relationship between Sawamura and the catcher Miyuki-senpai. Sawamura tends to address Miyuki without using honor fix, which he does for a lot of his other upperclassmen, suggesting that Miyuki doesn't have his full respect. At the same time, he regularly hunts Miyuki down during and after practice to ask him to catch his pitches. There's always some tension between them, but in looking how much Sawamura acknowledged the other's catching skills, we can argue that Miyuki is the one he respects the most. In similar fashion, Miyuki outright states in the beginning that he would not put his faith in Sawamura to pitch in a game, but as they train and play together, they develop a mutual trust, and eventually Miyuki praises Sawamura for playing well and expresses his utmost respect. These developments are rarely mentioned in dialogue, and perhaps that is the main reason I like this show so much. While it talks a lot about the sport, about how to improve, and about the character's lack, there are many things left unsaid between the lines, like how Sawamura's obnoxious enthusiasm is secretly highly appreciated, or the tension between top players Miyuki and Tanba, or the strong sense of respect among characters regardless of their class or player position. In Ace of Diamonds, each decision a character makes can directly affect the plot. In contrast, we see in Haikyuu a sequence in which Oikawa misses a bunch of serves in a row. His team is never worried about it, and eventually he gets back on track with his serves. In Ace of Diamonds, serial mistakes like these are unacceptable. Players are easily taken off the first string team if they do not perform, and that includes the main characters. No one is safe, and this puts consistent pressure on everyone to do well. A single fail can lead to a crushing loss, as we see in the game between Seido and Inashiro. Humor is subjective, and I suspect this might be the reason why Haikyuu hasn't hit me the same way it did other fans. I do like some of the jokes in it, but too many of them went over my head while I was trying to orient myself in the myriad of new characters to give the first season anything higher than a 6 out of 10. Ace of Diamonds, on the other hand, is extremely funny all of the time. With simple jokes, it's easy to laugh at, and it often breaks with viewer expectations. For example, in episode 4, Sawamura is left behind while the rest of his team goes to watch a game. He has been banned from using any of the equipment, though since he's finally alone, he takes advantage of the situation and decides to practice his pitching. Watching him play catch with himself is already pretty funny. But when we're introduced to Furuya, the joke is played even further. Furuya offers to join Sawamura, and after a few throws back and forth, he reveals his superior pitching skills. There are new and exciting twists around every corner, and they are accompanied by a great deal of comedy. Characters are amusing and often come with funny nicknames and habits that build on each other as the story progresses. Laughing is a good way to relieve the constant strain that comes from such attention-filled narrative, making this a well-balanced show. When it comes to animation, Ace of Diamonds has a clean, generic art style reminiscent of something you'd see in the late 2000s. This makes it one of the nicest looking shows, aesthetically speaking, but also the least unique. If we look at other contemporaries like Haikyuu or Yowamushi Pedal, we see that these have distinct personal styles which make them stand out from the crowd. Ace of Diamond looks gorgeous, but it lacks an individual voice in terms of artwork. This is a slow-paced show. Trying to get through an arc in one evening may seem impossible when a single game can last up to 10 episodes. It didn't have to be that long, and not all episodes are equally good, but this is very much a show to marathon. Still, I can see it getting filtered out because people have school and jobs and friends, and upon first glance, 75 episodes seem like an awful lot. The last thing that I want to mention here is the underlying message of the entire series. Teamwork. Sawamura says in episode 2 that you can't play baseball alone, and this idea is reinforced in visual cues throughout the story. The theme isn't forced down our throats or anything, it's barely ever mentioned, but it's definitely there. For example, the coach says he refuses to sacrifice the rest of the team in favor of training Furuya into a true ace, because he recognizes that the club is for everyone, including the ones who don't get to play in the game. In Season 2, Inashiro, the runner-up at Nationals, loses a game because its players aren't playing as a team, but rather for themselves. The Seido players, on the contrary, manage to support each other through their games, also when they're fighting among themselves. And it's this reassurance that I often wish I saw more of in sports anime, because that's what appeals to me in this genre. I'm not trying to say that Haikyuu or any of the other big sports anime are bad. Far from it, I can't get enough of them. But Ace of Diamond has taught me why I like this type of story so much. If you do like sports anime, specifically any of the previously mentioned, I cannot recommend Ace of Diamond enough. It is far superior to anything I've seen, and that bar was already pretty high to begin with. Hi everyone, it's Erin. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it and that you go and watch the show. If you do or if you have, let me know what you think about it. I also came up with a fun little drinking game that you can play along with the anime. So if you do want to do that, you can head over to my blog to read the rules. The link will be in the description. Have fun and remember to drink responsibly.